The powerful inspector that disrupts the engagement party, that is able to dismantle, disrupt and destabilise even Mr. Burling, who is a hard-headed individual, and by proxy disrupt and dismantle ideas of individualism itself and capitalism itself. He introduces a death. A woman called Eva Smith has died. And he says that there could be a chain of events that have led to this unfortunate death. And Eva Smith is symbolic of the proletariat in this play. She doesn't speak in this play. She was a worker who has now died. And the fact that she doesn't speak is really important because she's almost voiceless, representing the powerlessness of the proletariat themselves. And the only person that does speak for the proletariat and does speak for Eva Smith is the inspector. So he is a mouthpiece for the proletariat and also a vehicle and a mouthpiece for Priestley's views. So he is able to show us the reality behind the wall. Because by breaking down that wall, he's able to show us the reality that the Burlings like to be far away from. They like to be really high on their social ladder, blinkered and ignorant and are sheltered from it, so they don't see it. But Mr. Burling, the inspector is wanting to expose this chain of events, to highlight and reveal just how much suffering there is beyond the wall. So I need you to really take in this image, and I want this in any essay you ever write because this is a really clear image of Priestley's core message. So, the chain of events is essentially the long list and the long kind of multitude of callous, misanthropic, cruel actions of the bourgeoisie. The chain of events is the many callous and misanthropic actions of the bourgeoisie. It's a chain of events. It's many events that have led to death. So many callous and misanthropic actions have led to the death of a woman, is what he says. And let's really take in that chain. I love this quotation specifically because we've done it with A Christmas Carol. We talked about Marley's chains, and the analysis really isn't that different. So what is a chain itself, literally? So a chain is a strong link connected to many. So we can say that quickly by saying a chain is filled with many connected metal links. Okay? Let's think about each link in this chain. They're all connected to each other, but the individual strong metal link, what does that represent for Priestley? So metaphorically, each link in this chain is a sin, is a callous action committed by the Burlings and by proxy the bourgeoisie. Now, if these sins are all connected in a chain, what does that suggest about these sins? That they are many and they are connected. So perhaps it's suggesting that this has happened for a long time. Perhaps this is suggesting that this is constant, something that happens again and again and again. And if we think about the purpose of chains themselves, what is the purpose of chains? The purpose of chains is to trap and imprison. So these many connected links, their job is to trap and imprison. So these sins are not only constant and perpetual and having existed for a long time, they are trapping and imprisoning those who suffer as a result of these actions. So think for me, who is suffering? As a result of the sins of the bourgeoisie, who is suffering? In the middle of this inescapable chain, you have the girl who died, Eva Smith, and by proxy, the proletariat. They are encircled by this chain and trapped by it, perpetually imprisoned and caused to suffer from it. And because it is an inescapable chain, it is very difficult to break. So the inspector, and by proxy Priestley, is revealing that the sins of the bourgeoisie have existed for so long, they have built an inescapable chain that feels impossible to be liberated from. Liberation seems impossible for the proletariat from the bourgeoisie. The bourgeoisie are so powerful and so constant that even though their sins keep happening, it seems like liberation isn't possible. Now think about the images that I've shown you. How do we know that the inspector is the person who has the power to break this chain? It is this. It's that message of cutting in, of sharp, forceful overthrow that is needed to break that chain of events. But in order to break that chain of events, we cannot have hard-headed dogmatism, because dogmatic people, the ideas will bounce right off and the chain and the sins will carry on. We need the sins to be exposed, and then we need change to happen so that this chain doesn't continue.